Happy Thursday, my abundant sisters. This is Coach MJ, and I'm so glad that you are joining me for today's topic. We're going to be talking about the two faces of coaching. I bet you didn't know that coaching had two faces to it. Well, we're going to be unpacking what that's talking about, and we're going to be trying to determine which of the faces of coaching is the face you need to be on. Now, if you know of what a coin is like, right, it has two faces or two sides to it, heads or tails. And depending on which way you bet, if you flip a coin, you want the correct side to be up when it hits the ground or when it hits your hand so that you can win the bet or make the decision, right? It's kind of the same way with the two faces of coaching. And we're going to be talking about it because there's a couple of different ways, at least two different ways that you can operate your coaching business. And if you choose the wrong face of coaching, you can end up spending a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of energy on something that's not going to be able to get you to where you want to go. Where do you want to go? To your goals and your dreams. The fact is that nobody does anything just for the heck of it. You're not out here trying to start a coaching business just for the heck of it. You're not out here just looking for something to do because you're bored. I just want to have something to do on the side, but I want to keep my day job. If you're trying to start a really epic coaching business, it's because you want to leave your job, buy back your time, win your freedom, and live the lifestyle you want to live. And one of the two faces of coaching is much more likely to get you to where you want to go than the other. I would dare say, I would go out on a limb and say, one face of coaching is not going to get you to your goals and dreams if they're big enough, and one will. And what I want to encourage you is that make sure that your goals and dreams are such that they can never be accomplished with a job, and they can't be accomplished with a very dialed down business model, right? Doesn't mean that everybody wants to be, a billionaire in the world, but let's face it, to be able to have the freedom and the options that you want in your life, so that you're not tied to your desk at work. You're not tied to a time clock. You're not tied to your cubicle. You're not waiting on enough PTO to accrue so that you can take another vacation. You're not waiting all year to save up money so you can go on one vacation out of 52 weeks a year. No. You want to be able to free yourself up completely so that you can choose what it is that you want to do in your life. And so we're going to start talking first about the typical face of coaching and the way most new coaches coming into the game start out. If they don't have a mentor guiding them down a different path, if they don't have somebody in their ear letting them know, hey, there's another way, which we're going to talk about second. So what normally happens when a person decides they want to be a coach? Often, if they're like me, there's people telling you, oh, you should be a coach. I heard that a lot. You should be a coach. You'd be great at coaching. And I used to wonder, what do they see that makes them think I would be great at coaching? Because at the time I had never done it. And, I started to believe them. I started to look at what I saw people doing in the coaching sphere. And I was like, yeah, I would love that. I had a background. I had thought I wanted to be a teacher. And so I dabbled a little bit in the teaching world, found out I don't think I like kids well enough to spend 8 or 9 hours a day trapped in classrooms with them. And then I became a corporate trainer. And I really enjoy corporate training, right? I love educating people, teaching people. I did that for years, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it resonated with me because I have one of my passions and one of my areas of expertise is in training and education. And so that was one way to do it, but coaching really appealed to me because I love the forward-looking approach that coaching has as opposed to maybe therapy, which looks backwards and solves problems that way over a longer period of time usually. And, other types of counseling, the same thing. But coaching, I love the forward-looking approach where we just say, what is it that we want to accomplish? And how can we get there starting from now, regardless of what happened before and what we've accomplished or not accomplished before. So I loved that. And what happens when other people find out that they want to be a coach? A lot of times, and this comes from the programming that we are given, that in order to get a good job, you need to go to school, go to college, right? And if it's ever come to a time where you're not making enough money or you're not happy in your job, what do they tell you? Go back to more school, because we have set up education in this country to be this And people starting to get wise to it now, but to be this cure-all, you're going to make the money you want, you're going to have the career you want. I think a lot of us are starting to wake up and realize that that's not true. Not saying there's anything wrong with going to college, but don't go there because you think that because you're buying into what they were teaching you, right? But a lot of people believe that to do anything, even in business for yourself, you need to let someone else educate you in a formal way. Now, you do need to let somebody educate you, because if you don't know something, you need to find somebody who knows more about it and let them teach you how to do what they've done. Not just what they know from reading it in a book, but from what they have experienced themselves, right? And so you do need to be educated. You do need training. You do need guidance, but you don't need to do it in school. But a lot of times what happens with a brand new coach, they will decide, I want to be a coach, and they often don't even know what their niche is going to be, who their target audience is going to be, how they're going to package it, and they immediately go to get a certification with some kind of a coaching organization, right? I'm sure there's some big ones now that have grown in these last decades to be the authority on coaching, and they teach you coaching skills and that type of thing. What they don't ever really give you is real world effective ways to market your business, to operate your business, how to decide what it is that you want to do. Usually they get you together on just the tactics of coaching, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's other ways that you can learn that. Meanwhile, you're still doing for a living whatever it was you were doing before while you're earning this certification. And then when you get out, you start passing out business cards, you start telling the people around you, hey, I'm a coach. But most coaches that come the certification route that I know of do not have a solid idea of exactly what it is that they need to do to grow their business, because they were taught or convinced that having the certification, having those letters, I guess, on their resume behind their name would be enough. But it's not. And when we talk about the other coaching, we're going to talk about what it does take to attract people to what it is that you do, right? But they get the letters behind their name or on their resume, wherever it goes, handing out business cards and waiting for the clients to roll in, right? They have no idea how to market themselves. They just kind of word of mouth. And I know we can do things by word of mouth, and I know that there can be organic traffic to businesses, but let me tell you something. Depending on word of mouth, depending on people that you know who are not connected to your business in a formal way, who are not committed to marketing your business, who are not incentivized to market your business, depending on them to spread all the word that there's going to be spread about your business to the masses is a faulty premise for scaling a business, right? If you think about all the major advertisers, the people you see on TV, they're advertising to you as a stranger. They don't know who you are. They're not depending on word of mouth. So you as a small business, all the more need to get your word out and not be depending on word of mouth to grow your business. But the new people, I've seen it so many times that they will try to use word of mouth and just hoping that people will come along. And it makes me sad because they went into the coaching field to begin with because they wanted to help, right? And that's probably why you're going into it, or why you want to go into coaching, because you want to help people be better, right? And you have all these things that you can help people to accomplish, right? But what happens with the get out of the certification class, pass out business cards, word of mouth, hoping for the best, is that it always or almost always is also attached to the one-on-one model of delivering your magic, right? So you're meeting with people one-on-one. You meet with somebody for an hour a week for 12 weeks or whatever, and they pay you by the hour, right? Or maybe you sell it to them in a package and get all the money at one time. Whichever way you do the transaction of the payment, the bottom line is you see what you do as hourly, because, I make $250 an hour, or maybe you don't even make that much. Maybe you're giving away your stuff for free, pro bono, because you're just trying to get the word out there about your business. And you feel like if I give my magic away at first, then they will spread the word about me. And every once in a while, that might happen to a certain extent, but it's really just a recipe for you giving away your time and your expertise for free and not being guaranteed that you're going to get anything from it. And they do this for weeks and weeks and then they give up. I've seen it happen. But When you are doing the hourly one-on-one, that immediately creates problems because first off, you are limited by how much time is in the day for you to exchange for your hourly rate. So if you work an 8-hour day, and if you want to see your clients for 8 hours, let alone all the other time you have to spend on the background work, the back office work, that limits you to 8 hours a day that you can work, 8 people you can see, 8 hours that are billable for you times 5 days or however many days you work. That's the limit, right? You multiply that times what you charge an hour, and that number is how much you're going to make as a coach, and that's it, right? Unless you start working more hours or raise your rates. And if you have set your business up so that you have your clients associate what you do for them based on the dollar figure by the hour, you raising your rate, they're probably going to feel some type of way about it because they're like, why does she deserve to be paid by the hour? You need to be paid by the result, which is what the other phase of coaching is going to allow you to do. You think about, well, I'll say that for when I get over there to the second phase. I want to make sure we understand why this other model does not work so that when we talk about the other phase of coaching, we can understand why it is so blockbuster and why it's so epic to be on that other side. So it limits your amount of income because there's only so much time you can spend, selling your hours in exchange for dollars. It also limits your time that you can spend doing other things. Remember, I said, you don't start a business just to exchange your job for another job. You probably are starting your business because you want to be able to create a lifestyle that you can't get at your day job, right? But if you're spending all your time, if anytime you want to make more money, you got to see more people anytime. And this applies really to counselors and therapists as well. We're talking specifically about coaches right now, but it applies to all modalities, all people who are really exchanging their expertise by the hour, right? So you spend most of your time charging by the hour and making your money. That limits how much personal time you have because you have no way to spend more time to yourself or with your family or doing what you love without affecting your income. See what I mean? Every hour you spend every hour of your work week you spend not with your clients making that hourly figure, you're eating into your income. So now not only are you not able to scale your business upwards, you are actually holding it back and going backwards with that model. If you decide you want to take off for a week, that's 40 hours you're not working. Multiply that times $100 an hour. Just keep the numbers easy. If you're working 40 hours for $100 an hour, that's $4,000 you're not going to make. And you can't make it back up because the next week you can't work 80 hours. You see what I'm saying? When you're exchanging time for money, it is a losing proposition. That's why jobs are not designed to help you become wealthy. Business ownership is designed to help you get wealthy, but you got to make sure you use a leveraged model, even with business ownership, or you've just bought a job, right? Also, with the one-on-one model, we're still on the first side of the first phase of coaching. It's very repetitive. You probably will find yourself saying the same thing over and over to people, especially in the beginning, but even along the way. Your magic comes out in a certain form, right? You help people accomplish something or you help get them to their results over time based on a certain way that you do it. That's why they call it your magic. And so there's a lot of aspects to what you do with your clients that are done over and over for all the clients. And so you find yourself, and even doctors, I've heard doctors say this, that they find themselves saying the same things over and over to clients. Patients, they treat a one little small subset of diseases. They're going to say the same thing over and over. And that's another way that you lead to burnout. You lose interest because you wanted to be on your own and doing your own thing, but you find yourself repeating yourself over and over. And another thing with the one-on-one, usually with the one-on-one model, we swap hours for dollars for a number of weeks. And then when that's done, no room or no space for us to continue our relationship to see your tracking over time. Because again, you got to replace that client with another client that's going to pay you by the hour. So when do you have time to keep interacting with the client that has gone on, to see what their results are, to use their social proof to move backwards? and see where they've gone in the future, right? There's just not a good way to track those results. And you need to track your results so that you can constantly improve. Even if a person, now let me say this, even really your fault. Sometimes people just don't show up. Sometimes they just don't do what you tell them to do. And you can't own that, and you can't blame yourself for that. But there are times when there are things that you can improve and build upon that you would only learn from having a relationship with your clients ongoing. And that will only happen when you're able to track their results over time. But you can't do that with a one-on-one model, because if you got 40 hours a week you can work and somebody kind of falls off, they get to the main stopping point that you get your clients to, they kind of drop off. There's no place to really keep them and keep track of them outside of creating more work for yourself. And then from the client perspective, the one-on-one model is isolating, right? It can seem like, and I get the temptation, it can seem like we want our coaches one-on-one attention. It's very personal. I could get more from him. But that's not actually true. You can only go so far as a client with a coach, depending on what the area is that you're working on. You can only go as far as the work here as a client. But anything beyond that, you're not exposed to those things. And so you can't grow, your clients can't grow rather beyond that. So it's interesting when you think about it. Yes, a coach can take you far, but a coach can't take you any farther than you can go, or then you can influence your own experience. So again, a coach tells you what to do. They check in with you. They hold you accountable. Hopefully, they are accessible and all these things, but they can't give you, or they can't create the experiences and the progress that you're going to be making under their tutelage for you to then come back with more questions and come back with more progress. It is, so you're limited as a client, or your clients are limited by their own experience, because they're the only one you're working with. And then they leave the room and somebody else comes in. Invariably, they will have some of the same things going on, but with a different spin on it. The other person could have benefited from them, but they're not there anymore. So it's very isolating. And sometimes when people start to fail or not get the results they want, or whatever, they get discouraged, and sometimes they'll quit. And then what happens when they quit? There goes that hourly fee. There goes that. So we've talked a lot about the other face of coaching. Clearly, I see nothing but cons over there. And that's where a lot of newbies start out, because again, conventional wisdom says a coach, charge by the hour, get you a certification or go back to school, hang your shingle out, and they'll come to you. And I'm telling you, that does not work. It does not work for the long-term growth and success that you want to experience. Now, if you just want a job that you own, yeah, do the one-on-one model. The other face of coaching that I love, that I teach in the upcoming Build Wealth While You Travel Challenge, is not the one-on-one where it's you along with somebody for an hour. You're sharing your gifts with a lot of people at the same time in a group coaching space, on a stage. There's a number of ways that you can do that. But the one-to-many model, that's where you're going to see your coaching business take off. That's where your expertise, remember I always tell you, you're an expert. You already have the expertise that you need for a coaching business. Don't think you don't. But that's where your expertise is going to be able to share to the masses all at one time. It's leveraged, is what I love about it. It's leveraged because you're not going to have to keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, because you can't. Let's say you are in a one-to-many coaching space. There's 1,000 people there. And you can say to them in an hour what you don't have 1,000 hours to say. You don't have 1,000 hours to spend with all those people. And if you did, you wouldn't even be able to service that many clients. And so the one-to-many model is scalable, it's leveraged, and what that leverage does is it creates freedom for you, because you can have, in that example, 1,000 conversations, because they don't have to talk back to you all the time. 1,000 conversations. Like I'm using one-to-many right now to share this training with you. I'm not talking to each one of you one-on-one. I could never do that. But I can talk to you all at once, and you all are going to benefit from what you learn and have something that you can act on right away, right? The one-to-many, it creates freedom for you, because now you're not 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. And do you know how exhausting that is? I should have said this back at the one-on-one. It's exhausting because if I don't do these 40 discussions or these 40 coaching sessions, I can't make my money. I heard a therapist say, I think it was week before last, that I think he says $200 something an hour or something. And he's about to work from 12 to 9, hourly to do that. And I said, oh my goodness. If only he could leverage the story. But it leverages, it gives you the leverage to create the freedom you want, because that's why you're going into business. So you don't have to be chained to an office. You don't have to do more to make more. A one-to-many coaching model allows you to do less and earn more and impact more. Because guess what? We talk a lot about money. It's the Build Wealth While You Travel challenge. And we're not going to act like we're so noble that we don't want to make money, right? You can't pay your house note, your car note. You can't travel. You can't do anything without money, right? So you need to build wealth for yourself. Put your oxygen mask on before to impact the lives of others with the results that you help them get, right? You can't do it. But if you can talk to 400 people in a couple of hours and impact all their life, more people. So for those of you who have a love for helping people, which most people that go into coaching, it's right. You can also, so you can do it in a way that lets you affect more people connected to the results, because that's what people pay for. They don't come to you because, okay, I'm going to use the health coaching example. Let's say a person goes to a health coach because they need to improve their nutrition. Maybe they need to lose weight. Maybe they just need to do some things to slow down the aging process, whatever that might look like. They don't come to you because you have all this, as a health coach, because you have all this cool nutrition knowledge. They don't care what you know. They're gaining too much weight. They're dying of some type of chronic illness, and they're not going to be able to walk their daughter down the aisle. They're not going to be there for their grandkids. They got joint pain. They can't walk up a flight of stairs without their chest exploding. That's the problem they have, and the results you give them is the opposite of what their problem is. And that's what they pay for. And you staying connected to those results because you have time to do that now with this leveraged one-to-many model. You can now stay connected to your clients ongoing, even after your initial relationship has ended. And that's how you will know over time what you can do to improve and what you cannot have to change, because it's already phenomenal, because you can see the ongoing results. That gives you social proof with the rest of the people in your group. It is just a phenomenal way to move. But ultimately, you're not working 40 hours a week. I don't remember the last time I worked like 40 hours. That's something that they made up when they were creating jobs, trying to lure people out of business ownership and into jobs, retirement. There's nothing that says you have to work 40 hours a week except employers, right? I don't work 40 hours a week. I don't work half that, right? And you don't have to either, because again, you're not paid for the hour in the one-to-many. You're paid for the results you help people get. And it's worth how much? It's worth as much as the market says the value of that result is, because they're already losing out. It's already costing them to hang on to that problem. What are they losing out on in their life because they're hanging on to that problem? That's how much it's worth for you to take that problem away from them, right? That's where you can begin to build wealth. And the while you travel part, almost every Black woman I talk to wants to travel. Everybody wants to go to Dubai, to Bali, Jamaica. I hear Dubai all the time. That's why I make fun of that. But I want to go to Dubai too, just because y'all going. It's expensive to go to Dubai, but it's within reach if you have the time and the money. And the one-to-many coaching model lets you do that. This is the face of coaching you need to be on. And then to get those results, oh my goodness, I cannot tell you enough about the benefits of the group dynamic. You know how when you were in school and I didn't ask questions in school. I still don't. When I'm in the classroom, I usually don't ask questions, because I learned so much from what everybody else is saying and asking. And invariably, there will be somebody who asks a question. that you didn't even know you needed to know the answer to. Like you was like, we needed to know that. Oh, we supposed to do that chapter? Oh, that's gonna be on the test. Oh, that's how you do that equation. If it's a math class, you learn from what the other people are doing. If you were with a tutor, your learning would be limited to the questions you ask and what they tell you. A lot of teaching and coaching comes on the fly from the things the students, the clients, the customers ask you in the moment. You need to know in advance. And that's not your goal. Your goal is to get them started and then pivot and tweak as they ask you what they need to know. Well, when other people ask, sometimes a person might be too shy to ask. Sometimes they may think they already know it and they don't ask. And then they benefit from hearing somebody else's question or idea. That right there is where the results for your clients go through the roof. And your work is lessened because now you don't have to have, again, each of those conversations, each of those Q&As with each of those individuals, right? You're freeing up yourself. And that's what it's all about for entrepreneurship. It's total freedom. If your business owns you, you just traded your job that somebody else owns for a job that you own, or rather a job that owns you. Because a lot of people, especially solopreneurs, and they stay that way, they don't scale, they don't figure out how to grow. They just bought a job. If you're the only person in your organization for years at a time, you just got a job you own. And the job you own is worse in a lot of ways than the job you don't own, where you just work for somebody else. Because now you got all the back end and the paperwork and the 80-hour work weeks and all that. A one-to-many approach is going to eliminate all of that. And it's going to do it because it is leverage. It's going to do it because it has a way for you to scale. If you got to do everything one-on-one, that's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for staying right where you are. And I'm going to say it. If that's all you're going to do with your business is talk to people one-on-one, you might want to consider, especially if you got a good job, staying there, man, because at least they got to handle the heavy work, the people up top, the people behind the scenes. If you're going to jump out, if you're going to leap into the ocean of entrepreneurship as a coach, you need to be doing the one-to-many approach and replicate your efforts so that you can have a business where you can take off and go wherever you want to go. Or what I love is that you don't have to take off, because when you're in your niche, you're in your magic, you're in your space of expertise and you love it, you don't need to take off in the same way that you do from a job that you don't care for, a job that limits you. With this leverage model, you can work while you're gone. Because work, let me tell you something. If you only got to work doing what you love a couple hours a day and then hit the beach, like, tell me why you got to take off at all. But if you do take off, your business can still run with you. If you have the systems in place, the team in place, if there are times you want to be completely off the grid, you can do that. But your money is not going to stop growing just because you are not physically chained to a desk, chained to a location. Income goes up, client results go up. Those are your two biggest goals for your business. And so we've talked about the two phases of coaching, mainly the one-on-one and the one-to-many. And I've already shown you that the one-to-many is where it's at. Don't even worry about the certification. You don't need that. I know they're going to tell you that, oh, you need it. I don't have it. And none of my peers that are in my network, coaches making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, millions of dollars a year, whatever that income level is that they want to get to, none of them had to go get a coaching certification to do it. All they had to do is show up with their expertise, their magic, what they know that they know, and find the people in the market who need it. They can't beat them off with a stick. They can't stop people from wanting to work with them. They travel the world. They do all the things. We, I guess I should say we, not just they, we together do that because we have a leverage model that frees us to do that. Our travel challenge is coming up on September the 27th. There might be another one in the future, but you don't want to miss out on this one. BuildWealthWhileYouTravel.com. Go there now. We are going to be unpacking exactly how to utilize the one-to-many coaching model for what you are an expert in, the thing that you are passionate about, the problem that you are dedicated to solving as a coach. We're going to help you find your perfect clients. Where are they? Who are they? And what messaging is going to resonate with them in the moment while they're looking for solutions? Capture their attention, draw them into your universe, get them into your coaching programs, your coaching products, and help them get the results that they are so desperate for. But you got to know how to do that. And in order to do that, if you want to be a great coach, you have to be a great coaching client. You can't have other people doing what you're not willing to do yourself. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to attract clients when you yourself do not submit to coaches. Every good coach has multiple coaches, at least one, but usually multiple coaches guiding their careers, guiding their lives, helping them shape their business. So get in on this 5-day Build Wealth While You Travel challenge that's coming up. Grab your VIP ticket. That's my pro tip. Always go first class. Always get everything that you can get out of experience. Don't just do the bare minimum. Don't just accept the bare bones. We're going to be unpacking everything you need to know step by step. Things that you can put action into while you're in the challenge and get your coaching business going in no time flat. It doesn't have to take years because remember, we took away the certification. We took away the need for another degree. All you got to do is join the challenge, do what I guide you to do, and watch your business take off. It's that simple, but it starts with you taking the first step. Go to Build Wealth While You starts next week. You don't want to miss out on this. It's been my pleasure to share with you. I hope you're having a phenomenal week. Grab your tickets. If you want to be a coach, you can do it. You don't have to listen to all those people that tell you this other crazy path that you have to take. It can be a lot simpler, and it is a lot simpler than you think. Join the Build Wealth While You Travel challenge. Going to buildwealthwhileyoutravel.com. I'm looking forward to working with you, watching your mind be blown as things are opened up for you. I'm excited to work with you. I look forward to meeting you. Take care, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.